In our last video, we discussed what happens inside the aging brain. Amyloid plaques, tau tangles, inflammation, sleep disruption, and neurodegeneration. And for many people, that information can feel frightening. But today I want to discuss something equally important, what we can actually do about it. Because one of the most exciting discoveries in neuroscience today is this: the brain appears far more adaptable and responsive than we once believed possible. Hi, I'm Dr. William Pierce. I'm a chiropractor. I'm board certified as a non-surgical orthopedist. I'm a sports injury specialist. I'm also a peptide researcher. In part one of this video series, we discussed the physiology behind cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. Today, I want to move into current research regarding brain protection, resilience, and healthy aging. No hype, not miracle cures, but evidence-based concepts that may help preserve cognitive function as you and I get older. The first one is exercise, the most powerful brain tool. If I had to choose one intervention most consistently associated with brain health, it would be exercise. You see, exercise improves blood flow to the brain. It helps regulate inflammation. It improves insulin sensitivity. It supports mitochondrial function. And perhaps most importantly, it stimulates something in the brain called BDNF. BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It acts almost like a fertilizer in your brain. BDNF appears to support neuron survival, repair, adaptability, and the formation of new neural connections. In other words, movement literally helps the brain stay alive, adaptable, with improved neuroplasticity. Next one is sleep. One of the biggest breakthroughs in brain science over the last decade involves sleep. We talked about the brain's specialized cleaning system, something called the glymphatic system. Well, during deep sleep, fluid moves through the brain, helping remove waste proteins, including beta amyloid. Poor sleep may impair that cleanup process over time. This is why chronic sleep deprivation is now being taken far more seriously in relation to cognitive decline. You see, sleep is not passive. Sleep is an active brain maintenance procedure. In fact, it's a non-negotiable. The next one is blood sugar. Another major area of research involves blood sugar regulation and insulin resistance. Some research now refers to Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes, not as an official diagnosis, but because insulin resistance appears strongly connected to brain dysfunction. When blood sugar becomes chronically elevated, inflammation rises. Oxidative stress increases. Blood vessels become damaged, and mitochondrial energy promotion may decline. The brain is extraordinarily energy dependent, and metabolic dysfunction may directly affect cognition and neuroplasticity. The next one is inflammation. Chronic inflammation appears to be one of the major underlying themes in aging and neurodegeneration. Acute short-term inflammation is helpful, but chronic inflammation may slowly damage tissues throughout the body, including the brain. Many lifestyle factors influence inflammation. Poor sleep, processed foods, seed oils, obesity, inactivity, chronic stress, smoking, excessive alcohol intake, and social isolation. Reducing inflammation may be one of the most important longevity strategies that we possess. Social connection and cognitive stimulation are really important. They're often overlooked, but brain health strategies may actually be more associated with active human connection than not. Loneliness and social isolation are now strongly associated with cognitive decline and increased mortality. The brain appears to thrive on engagement, conversation, learning, purpose, relationships, meaning. People who remain socially connected and mentally engaged often appear more cognitively resilient later in their life. The brain really responds to challenge. If we learn new skills, we read music, learn a new language, play strategy games. Movement patterns even make a difference in stimulating neuroplasticity, and this is important. Passive entertainment, scrolling for example, is not the same thing as active learning. The brain wants connection and engagement. Peptides and regenerative medicine, as well as biohacking. Now let's briefly discuss an area receiving enormous interest recently: peptides and regenerative medicine. This field is still evolving and much more research is needed, but certain peptides are being investigated for their possible roles involving inflammation modulation, tissue repair, mitochondrial support, neuroprotection, and recovery. Examples receiving attention including compounds such as MOTS-c, dihexa, CMAX, C-Link, epithalon, and others currently under investigation. Some early research is really intriguing, but we must remain responsible and evidence-aware and realistic, because at this time peptides should not be viewed as magic bullets. They are better viewed as levers which work in signaling or reminding our brain's neurons to perform their functions at the level of a younger and healthier individual. Biohacks and practical strategies also exist. People often ask me about them. Some strategies receiving increased attention include things like cold exposure or plunging, sauna therapy, intermittent fasting and or time-restricted eating, breath work, meditation, continuous glucose monitoring, where you have that thing on your arm and you can look at your watch and see what's happening to your blood sugar. Methylene blue is another one. And wearable technologies which are changing and updating constantly. These track sleep and your recovery overall. Some of these approaches may positively influence inflammation, metabolic health, stress resilience, mitochondrial function, and sleep quality. But again, the basics still matter most. Remember, you cannot out-supplement or out-biohack a destructive lifestyle. So, and in closing, the most encouraging realization emerging from modern neuroscience may be this: the aging brain is not necessarily helpless. It is dynamic, responsive, adaptable. And while no one can guarantee prevention of neurodegenerative disease, many factors influencing brain health may actually be modifiable. The earlier we begin protecting the brain, the better the odds of preserving our function, vitality, independence, and quality of life as we get older. Your future brain is being built by today's habits, not what we do next week or next month or next year. And finally, a disclaimer. This video is for informational purposes only. It doesn't constitute medical advice. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor, and no doctor-patient relationship exists between the two of us. Always consult your own qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions about your health. Don't rely solely on online information for diagnosis and treatment. Thank you for your patience. I look forward to us meeting again within the next week about some new and exciting topics.